Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped, and today we're continuing our series of videos where we're looking at the fantasy overview of every team. Today we're diving into the Buffalo Sabres. Let's get started. Let's jump right into my projected lines. The top line will be Taylor Hall, Jack Eichel, and either Olofsson or Reinhart. That second line will be Skinner, Stahl, and either Olofsson or Reinhart, whichever one isn't going to be on that top line. On that third line, we have Cody Eakin down center, Dylan Cousins on the right, and Tage Thompson on the left. On the top power play, we've got Victor Olofsson, Sam Reinhart, Taylor Hall, Jack Eichel, and Rasmus Dahlin. On that second power play, we've got Jeff Skinner, Eric Stahl, Dylan Cousins, Rasmus Ristolainen, and either Colin Miller, Brandon Montour, or Henry Jokiharju. Alright guys, so let's jump right into our do not draft list, and first on that list is Rasmus Ristolainen, and the reason for this is he was on the top power play for a decent portion of the season last year. And that's not going to happen again this year unless Dahlin gets injured. Almost 1/3 of his points last year came on the power play, and this year I expect the second power play to get very little power play time since I expect that top unit to be just so dominant, especially with Taylor Hall joining it this year. Now, he's currently ranked at 183 overall and the number 40 defenseman. At this range, I prefer to draft a defenseman getting a little bit more power play time, top power play time, like Oliver Ekman-Larsson. So the exception to this is if you are in a bangers league. You absolutely want to draft Ristolainen. The guy loves to hit. He had 203 hits last year, which put him at 8th best in the entire league. Next on my draft list is Jeff Skinner, and Jeff Skinner flat out sucked last year. He only had 23 points and 14 goals in 59 games. He took 183 shots on net, which made for a shot percentage of 7.65%, while the league average was 9.5%. This means, guys, that he's scoring on 7.65% of his shots. And so, I mean, that should go up a little bit, right? But it doesn't really help when the guy only had 9 assists all year. And unlike last year, I don't expect him to get any top power play time, especially with Taylor Hall taking over probably his spot on that unit. His line mates got slightly better with either Reinhart or Olofsson joining him on that second line. And I don't really consider Stahl much of an improvement over Marcus Johansson though. But even with all that, I don't see him performing that much better unless he does slot in to that top power play unit alongside Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel. I'm going to be staying away from Jeff Skinner this year because I just don't trust it. Next on my do not draft list is Eric Stahl. And Eric Stahl actually had a really good season last year. He's currently ranked 222 on NHL's draft list and had 47 points in only 66 games, including 19 goals. The thing is, his shooting percentage was really high last year at almost 17%. That means he scored on almost 17% of his shots. That's really, really high, and his career average was 11.3. So those numbers definitely will go down. His goal total definitely will go down, and he just turned 36, so he's not getting any younger. I would not draft Eric Stahl this year because there are much better options at center deeper in the draft than where he's going. All right, so last but not least on my do not draft list is Cody Eakin. And I really hope that I don't have to tell you to not draft Cody Eakin because he had a pretty decent season a couple years ago with Vegas. He put up 41 points, but I don't see anything like that happening with Buffalo as he's kind of going to be locked into that third line center role and he'll get very, very minimal power play time. All right, guys, so with the do not draft list behind us, let's jump right into our draft list. So first on the list, guys, is Jack Eichel. And should I have to tell you to draft him? I mean, the guy is one of the top talents in the league, and as a cherry on top, he'll be skating on the top line and the top power play with Taylor Hall this year. Yeah, his shot percentage was a little bit inflated last season, but skating with Taylor Hall will easily make up the difference, and more. That brings me right to my number 2 on my draft list is Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall's numbers kind of took a hit last year. That was largely due to him playing alongside a bunch of nobodies in Arizona. His shooting percent regressed to 6.9 when his career average has been 10.4. So his total amount of goals definitely should increase after an entire season playing with Jack Eichel. I think Hall will have an absolutely phenomenal season with Jack Eichel and can provide a lot of value where he's currently projected to be drafted at 48. Alright guys, so that brings me to my must draft of the video, Rasmus Dahlin. His numbers improved dramatically last year from the year before, scoring 40 points in just 59 games, where the season prior, his rookie season, he scored just 44 points in a full 82 games. 19 of his points last year came on the power play. And Buffalo's power play was 20th in the league. With the addition of Taylor Hall, I think that it'll be one of the most deadly power plays in all of the league, allowing Dahlin to get even more power play points this year. On top of that, it seems that this kid only gets better every single year, and I expect him to have one hell of an explosive season this year. Next on my draft list, guys, is Victor Olofsson. And Olofsson was a revelation last year. He went largely undrafted in leagues and ended up with a whopping 42 points in 54 games with 20 goals. His shooting percentage, yeah, was a little bit high last year at 15.75%. But if he gets that spot on the top line alongside Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel, I expect this high level of production to actually continue. At his current ranking, he's an absolute steal if he gets a spot on that top line. If he does not get a spot on that top line, I'm a lot less high on him. So that brings me to the other guy who has a shot of playing on that top line, and that's Sam Reinhart. He hit 50 points last year, but also had an inflated shooting percentage at 15.28. However, his career shooting percentage is actually pretty high at 12.7%, so the same thing kind of applies to him. If he gets that top line spot, I absolutely love drafting him at his current rank. Otherwise, I'd rather go for somebody else. So last but not least on this list, guys, are the Buffalo goalies. And I absolutely love drafting Linus Ullmark at 226 because at this range, you're getting a starting goalie on a potentially much improved team at a draft range where you're going to get only backups like Crawford and Cal Peterson. If he falls into this range, you absolutely have to draft this guy. Now, Carter Hutton, he's someone that I would only draft if the NHL releases the schedule, and it's very, very condensed with a lot of back-to-backs. Otherwise, he's just a spot start in favorable matchups. Alright guys, so you've reached the keep an eye out for section of the video, and these are guys that you kind of want to wait until training camp and see where they fall in the lineup, and then make a judgment call based on that to see if you really want to draft these guys or not. So first on that list, guys, is Dylan Cousins, and this is a kid who's uber talented. Like, he was drafted in the first round by the Buffalo Sabres in 2019, 7th overall, and this is a kid with a lot of talent. Now, I don't know where he's going to play in the lineup. For all I know, he could get that top spot alongside Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel. I don't know. But right now, it looks like he may only get a third-line role, which is not worth a draft spot unless you're in the deepest of leagues. So next on the list is Henri Jokiharju, and he's a super talented kid, but the only way he has any kind of fantasy relevance is if Buffalo decides to play him on that second power play. We'll keep an eye out for that in training camp, but even then, his fantasy relevance is very minimal. The same goes for our next two guys, Brandon Montour and Colin Miller. One of these three guys will be getting that second power play time alongside Rasmus Ristolainen. Which one it is, I don't know, but even then, I would only draft that guy in the deepest of leagues. Last on the list, and this one I kind of threw in just for fun, is Jack Quinn. No, I don't think he's going to make the team this year, but this kid is super talented. He was picked in the 2020 draft this year, 8th overall, and he has one hell of a shot. So let's watch out for him in training camp, just in case he surprises somebody and makes the team. Alright guys, so you've reached the end of the video. If you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let me know how I can improve these videos. Until next time, guys, stay safe and stay healthy, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend.